Morning. After I finished the toilet behind me there, I was going to move on to the kitchenette, but then I thought I really need to get the area of the workshop sorted out. So I've moved the caravan forward, as you can see, giving me the space I need to start constructing the wall. I'm going to build a wall behind the caravan there that's going to line up with the column and rafter that you can see, and incorporate a couple of doors so I can walk through from the front of the van, and then kind of insulate it, line it and close up the area so then I can start lining the walls around here. I ordered some ply that's going to allow me to mount things on the wall as I go. And then once I've got that, then yeah, I'll move on to the kitchenette there. So, on with the next project. Just in case you're wondering what's going on here, I'm using a bituminous paper, which is like it's a moisture barrier. You might use this stuff in brickwork. Anyway, it's designed to stop water being transmitted from one side to the other. So I put it down under my bottom plate here because this slab is, being a garage slab, doesn't have a waterproof membrane underneath. So just like things that are going on with the toilet, there's the potential for water to wick up through the slab and into the timber and slowly rotting it. So this just protects the timber from water damage. I'm fixing it down using another stuff that nicknamed in a trade called spaghetti. It's just a plastic tube, and I'll show you what happens with that. And while I'm drilling a hole there, you saw me pulling the thing up and down. That's because as you're drilling, the drill bit's getting full of concrete, timber as well, and it doesn't necessarily all automatically spiral up the drill, and it gets jammed in the hole and the bit starts to bite and stop. So you just draw it out a few times and it pulls all that stuff to the surface, and then clear the hole. Here comes the supervisor. Come and check it out. That's Kirby. So, plastic tube goes in the hole, push it down to the bottom, chisel, cut it off, and it's just a 3-inch or 75mm galvanised nail. Alright. It's not going anywhere. So I go along here and just put a series of them, probably every 600mm or so, and that way it's not going to go sideways when I come to fix the sheets to it later on. Time to fix some timber to the steel column. I've just cut and fitted a bit of pine around the rafter up there and the bracket. Now I'm fixing the pine to the column. What I've done is just pre-drilled a hole in the timber here. I'm using these self-drilling metal thread screws. Pretty simple really. Get the right size hole, get the driver and push it in. Just like that, solid as a rock, and that just Where is it? It's come through just like that. So, very effective measure to fix the timber in place. And then I'll do the same with the overhead rafter as well. I'm putting blocks in the wall, otherwise known as noggings. Some people wonder what they're for. They're mainly to strengthen the wall, but when you put a row of noggins in it, it really tightens it up, stops all the studs wobbling sideways and pulls it all together. Also, it provides support for your sheeting or cladding, whatever you're putting in, plasterboard, billboard. Normally you might stagger them, and that has to do with the ease of nailing. But I'm putting mine in a row because I want to support the joint of the sheets on both sides strongly. So it takes a little bit extra work, a bit more fiddly, but I believe it's stronger. So I'll be putting a row of noggins everywhere there is a sheet intersection. So I'll show you when I'm finished. Well, that's the frame done. I made a little recess for a cabinet that I've got to go into that recess. Give me a bit more room in the workshop and allow me to open the door of the cupboard next to some benches there. The next thing I'm going to do, of course, is line the whole thing with billboard. You'll notice over there I've got a bit of a framed up opening. I'm going to put my workbench alongside there. If I ever have things that are a bit too long in the vise, I can open up that little hatch and poke them through. So, on with the billboard. Just like magic, it's done. Billboard's on the wall. Now on to stopping up the joins and starting to set up the door frame. As you can see, I've first coated the joints in the billboard. What I'm doing now is fitting an external plaster angle. It's a metal angle that's designed to not only reinforce the corner, which would otherwise crack if you didn't use it, but also offers some impact resistance. You should bump into it with things. Well, there's the doors hung, hardware fitted. Starting to prep now for a favourite job, painting. Well, I suppose it isn't going to do itself. Better crack on with it. Alright, first coat on the wall's finished. Here's a little tip in case you don't know, that might help. One of the biggest pain in the ass about painting is that at the end of your run or the end of the day, you've got to clean out the rollers, clean out the tray. Makes a hell of a mess. You don't want to have to do that, and you're going to use the same colour tomorrow. Simple trick. Get yourself a plastic bag, twist it up real tight so no air gets in, and then just set it aside. I'll pick that up tomorrow and it'll still be ready to go. No dry bits. Very handy. Saves a lot of work. I'm just prepping now for the final coat and also to do the woodwork on the door frame and doors. I'm going to show you another little tip which is going to help with your painting. With this stuff, I've just been around and caulked every little gap, every crack, every join with an acrylic gap filler. Now it takes a while, a bit laborious, but it's worth the effort because at the end you end up with a much more professional job. It's a much better finish and it looks like a professional start. So take the time. It's always worth the extra few minutes you put in to get a better job. Boy, that was a chore. Don't make the same mistake I just did. The blue painter's tape you use for defining edges when you're painting, protecting adjacent surfaces. It's only made to last a few days, and then the adhesive and the paper, nature of the paper changes. So the danger is you leave it too long, it stays there. It's really hard to get off. And the fact that I've attached it to a silver foil liner, I think that made it worse. And yeah, so it took me a lot longer to get the blue tape off than it should have. So just make sure that you remove it as soon as you possibly can. Alright, I'm up to just sanding the holes, the nail holes I've filled in the woodwork, and then it's on to painting the woodwork. Nearly there. Fun job nearly out the way. Another little tip, the hand can often feel what the eye can't see. So you're sanding away and it looks alright, but run your hand over it and your hand will feel any rough bits or lumpy bits sticking up. Again, just another tip to making a better job. I've finished the second coat of enamel on the woodwork. It's all dry now, so I'm just going to remove all the blue tape and clean that up. Just going to give you a little tip. What you want when you're doing the final coat of, I guess any coat of enamel, is a nice, good quality brush, fine bristles, preferably with an angle top. It just kind of helps with cutting in. Because when cutting in, you want a brush that holds the paint, but also allows it to flow nice and easily, and not have little bristles sticking out the side, which come into contact with your adjacent paintwork, and then you have to spend all your time cleaning it off. Good quality brush will mean a beautiful glossy finish like that, and will be hard wearing and resilient. I'm just about to get on to now the doors. I've second coated on the other side of the door yesterday. Let that dry. I've laid these out in preparation for final coat. I've just given that a nice light sand also. It takes off all the lumps and bumps and paint dribbles. And I'm about to apply the final coat using what we call a short nap roller. And that just allows the paint to go on nice and easily, but also just leaves a slightly orange peel effect, which I like. It's not a high gloss. If you want a high gloss, you really need to lay it off, what we call laying off roll it on, and you lay off with the brush nice long strokes, and that will give you a much more glossy finish. But before doing this, what I've done is shut the doors, and I've gone right through the shed with a can of insect spray and given it a blast, because as soon as you start painting with enamel, all the little gnats, little small bugs come out of nowhere, and they just seem to be attracted to the enamel paint, and they'll stick to it, which ruins the job. So make sure they're all disposed of before we get underway with the painting. And I'll finish that, and then we'll come back and show you the final job. And there we have it, dividing walls all finished. Put my doors back on. Notice I've split it into two doors. Cat and kitten, cow and calf, what do you like to call them? So I can open this door and get wide things through. Not the least being my workbench, which will fit along the wall there. I've also, that recess that I created in the corner was for a steel cabinet, and this is going to be for me to lock up all of my power tools in. As you can see, it's wall the back, heavy steel on the sides, put some shelves in, and there's no way getting through that door. It's very solid. Alright, so on to the next task. I think I might put off again the kitchenette in the corner there. I'm going to start lining the walls using this ply sheets that I've got here. So the workshop's underway, coming together very slowly. See you on the next project.